Hamdi, how you doing, mate? Welcome, bro. We will wait for 3-4 minutes before we start. We will wait for more people. Nice to hear that, bro. We always hope that it's not that busy every day. Maybe once in a while. Nice. We will start exactly at 16:10, guys. Or at Tunisian time, 15:10. Forgotten God, how you doing, bro? Long time no see. Okay, let's start. I hope more people will catch up later or soon, maybe. But we will start anyway. Spanish, no Spanish, bro. Only English. For French sessions starting from this Tuesday. I hope. Let's get started, shall we? So, hello everyone. This is Faris. I'm senior front-end developer at Nielsen IQ. That I am backed by Nielsen IQ specifically. And in this course, we will learn how to become front-end professionals more than just front-end developers or front-end nerds, but front-end professionals. We will start from the basics until we reach the professional level, preparing the CVs and preparing for the interview. I hope that interested everybody. First of all, we'll go through the training plan. Yeah, resume, whatever. The first part is how can you become a front-end developer or front-end ReactJS developer. In this section, we will learn what do we need to know to become web developers and about the web in general. What languages we'll need to learn, and we need to deeply learn, not just learn, because it's the basics of everything. Next step will be to set up our development environment properly, like IDEOs, to choose which editor goes well with us and goes well with our technology. The package manager, which is the most important thing to run every React.js project. Next, we will learn about JavaScript, single-page applications, etc. The types of JavaScript, React.js applications, class-based development, and functional-based development. What is React.js in 2023? UI libraries, which will help us accelerate a bit more the development and will make us make some neat designs and cool designs. After that, I chose to put in the plan Redux, which is an essential, not an essential, but an important library that can be used alongside React, and we will see why, and its alternative, if possible. We will learn in the second part about web APIs and backends. After that, an important section to become a professional is to learn project management tools like Jira, Asana, Trello, etc., and version manager tools like Git, especially Git. And we will use Git and Jira to create many projects collectively. Everyone will take a part in finishing those mini projects. Hopefully we will do 2 mini projects at the end. And before finishing this all training, I will do some CV reviews for who's interested in this, and at the end, mock tech interviews for those who are interested too. If you wanna do a technical interview in French, in English, or whatever you want, and you are a bit shy and you need to to practice more, or to do the first tech interview, to get things started, this is your time. No judgment, just a mock tech interview. You will be asked technical questions that are um, commonly asked in technical interviews, and I hope you get prepared. Let's get started, shall we? The first session is how to become front-end React developer. What do I need to know to become React web developers generally? First of all, you need to know what is a web page. Web page is collection of information that are displayed on the internet. So any user will access a web page. He needs a web browser. The web browser sends a HTTP request to the address or IP address of the web page. The web server that contains this web page will collect some data, some information from APIs or from databases, and generate a HTML, CSS, etc. page, and send it back through a HTTP response to the user. And in this way, the user will get the page, and will get its content, which can be text, image, video file, links, or multimedia elements in general. Speaking about web browsers, there are several, and a lot of web browsers that can that exists. But in general, web browsers have more or less the same components. First of all, user interface, which allow us to input URLs, navigate back and forth between pages that we visited, and tabs that we saved, or bookmarks, or whatever. And this user interface, the more friendly it becomes, the more the more users that will choose this browser specifically. A rendering engine which displays the HTML and CSS to the user. For example, for Google Chrome, WebKit, Blink, and Gecko for Firefox. Those are rendering engines for those browsers. JavaScript engine that this component will interpret and execute JavaScript code on the web page. Networking components, which will make the HTTP request or networking request possible. And for if you want to learn more about browser components, there are more components. For example, plugins and extensions and security components. You can learn more about it. But the most important thing to start up for the moment is to understand how the rendering engine works, how JavaScript engine works, and what are the networking components and how we can use them. One of the most important things to understand about browsers and its and how they are made of, we need to understand the browser compatibility, since every browser is made on using its own engines and code. So, and not everything will run the same way. Generally, it's the same, but there are more specific cases where some properties, attributes, tags that are not ran the same way on each browser. I can give you an example for here. The CSS function color is not used in every browser. It cannot understood by every browser. For example, Firefox or Opera on Android does not understand the color function of CSS. So, what are the most commonly used web development technologies? I can say web pages are created using uh, mostly HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and those technologies are used to structure style content as well as other interactive features and functionality. This illustration can give you the most descriptive way of HTML plus CSS plus JavaScript. As you can see, HTML is the skeleton, CSS is the style, design, the outer look, if you can say that, and plus JavaScript, it's the behavior. It's how the website or the page behaves to user interactions and user events. Starting with HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It's not a programming language, but it's a markup language used to create web pages and other information that can be displayed in web browser. It's the core technology of the World Wide Web, alongside with CSS and JavaScript. And in the example on the right, we can see the general structure of a HTML document. The first line indicates the version of HTML, and we will learn more about that later on. And for the rest of the document, we can see that it's an XML-like structure: open tag, close tag, tag name, attributes, and children. Not just children, but inner HTML or inner text. For example, in the head section, we have two inner HTML, which contains two HTML tags. The first one is meta, and it's self-closing tag, not like the rest of the HTML tags. But head does not self-close. It needs to have content, and its close tag is like this. And for title tag, it needs to have inner content, which is a string to display the title of the page on the tab on your browser. HTML uses a set of markup tags and attributes to describe the structure of the content of web page. The tags define the different elements of web page, such as heading, paragraph, images, links, etc., and probably media content too. What are the main differences between HTML and HTML5? HTML5, which is the latest version of hypertext markup language used for creating web pages. The main differences are improved multimedia support, which in this version it includes the support of audio, video, and in this case, the death of Adobe Flash. New semantic elements, we will learn more about these. Better support for mobile devices. HTML included new features that helps the developers make more responsive pages. Responsive means they respond to the device they are called in. For example, if you have a mobile phone, it will respond to its width and height. Improved forms, we'll learn more about this. And Canvas and SVG support, we will learn about this. We won't learn about this in this training, but it's an interesting feature to learn, and it help us make some HTML figures and SVG figures that are displayable in your web page. In summary, while HTML and HTML5 share many similarities, HTML5 introduces new features and capabilities that improve multimedia support, prove more descriptive information. We talked about semantic elements and better support for mobile devices, and enable the creation of more advanced graphics on the web page. We saw earlier in the example the doctype HTML command at the beginning of each page. This doctype command indicates to the browser which HTML it will be using in this document. To say that we are using HTML5, we type the command which is a comment in HTML, doctype HTML. As simple, we can say with this command that that we are using HTML5 instead of other versions. To learn more about the other versions and how we can use them, I will share this presentation at the end of the session with everyone, and you can learn more about this. In this session, we will learn about the most used HTML tags. First of all, HTML, which is defines the beginning and the end of HTML document. The head, which contains information about the document title, meta, links, etc. The title, which defines the title of the document and appears on the title bar of the web browser. The body, which contains everything that can be displayed on the document. H1 to H6 define headings in various levels, and these are important, and you need to choose H1 or H6 or whatever in between accordingly to and H1 being the most important, and you need to consider choosing these headings wisely, because it improves the SEO of the page and how the search engines will see your page and will understand more your page. The p tag defines the paragraph of text. A hyperlink and links to another page or another section of the page, or another URL. IMG, the tag to insert images in the document. UL for unordered list, and OL for ordered list. Div, which creates containers, span, which applies to styles and formatting to a specific section of text. We spoke about presentational HTML tags, which have visible meaning and visible purpose, but in HTML5 they introduced semantic tags, which improves the understanding and the processing of the page by web engines, search engines, and other automated tools, and it gives more meaning to the web page. For example, header, it means it defines the top section and the header section of web page. Nav, which defines the navigational bar. Section, which groups some content together. Footer, which which defines the footer section of the page, etc. You can learn about more about these. And if we put aside the semantics and the meaning and the purpose of these tags, they are at the end just div tags. You can replace them with divs, and it will work, and the presentation will work fine, but it has no meaning. To give it meaning and for the search engines to understand these sections or these tags, you need to use the semantic HTML tags. What did I not mention? First of all, we after understanding the tags, you need to learn more about the attributes that can be added to HTML tags. First of all, ID, which identifies a specific HTML element on the page. Class, it gives certain attributes to multiple HTML tags. We can give multiple divs the same class to give it more meaning and to apply the same CSS to those divs who had the same classes. SRC, to specify an URL specifically to images, videos, and scripts too. href, which this attribute specifies the URL of hyperlink text, not just URL, but for example a link to external or internal location or URL. Value, for example, style, we can use this attribute to specify and apply CSS styles to HTML element. Value, as its name defines, it gives a value to an input element. For me, the forms are the most important elements in a web page, because it's the first thing to interact and to interact with the users and have feedback from him. So forms are a way for users to interact with web pages by submitting data to a server for processing. Forms are often used to collect user inputs such as usernames, passwords, etc., etc. The basic form tags. First of all, we need to create a form. We need to englobe the element with opening form tag and closing form tag. This tag creates a form and specifies its method used to submit form data. The form tag attributes the most important to our action, which specifies the the URL or the link where the form data will be sent and processed. And the form method, it's either get or post. Get, which means the form data will be sent in the URL as a get parameters or params. Post, it means that the form data will be sent in the body of the form, of the URL. Sorry, it will be sent in the body, not in the URL, and it won't be seen by anyone. Inputs. This tag is used to create input fields within the form, and it has various types: text, password, checkbox, radio, submit and reset. We will see them later, and other types such as email, number, etc. The select and option tags, they are used to create drop-down menus within a form, and the select tag defines the menu, while the option tag defines the individual options within the menu that can be selected. And to go further, we can specify an attribute to the select, which is multi, to say if we can select multiple options or just one option. The text area tag, not it's not quite like the input type text tag, because it can contain longer text and multi-line text. And last and not least, the submit button within the form that user can click to submit the form to the server. We can write, we can create submit button by using two methods. The first method is input type submit, and by creating a button and giving it the type submit, and it's the same thing, but we can use each method of creating submit button. We can find purposes to those two definitions. Something I didn't write, which is reset button. It's quite like the submit button, but instead of sending the form data to the server, we reset the form to its initial value, which is empty. In this example, we have a little formula, a little form, which sends the form data to submit form .php using the method post. In this form, we have three inputs. First one, name, email, and text area message, which will contain long multi-line text, and the submit form. Now we can write our first form together, if you may. To write examples and to write some code, web code easily and test it easily, there are several online tools. If you don't want to create a local file or create a huge file or a complete file, you can just go to some of those online tools to create specific components, to create specific features for your web page. For example, we can go to codepen.io and start coding right away. No need to write the HTML and header tags. You can just, everything you write here will be inside the body, and these tools are for testing and creative purposes, not to create or deploy a web page. We will create our first form. So opening and closing form tags. The action, we will let it be empty and when it's empty or undefined, it means that the same page will get the parameters or the form data. Method, I guess it's okay. Method, we will put get, and for this first example we will create a simple calculator that takes first element, second element, and operation. But at the end, and we want to get the results because we did not introduce JavaScript to our code, and JavaScript, as we said earlier, it defines the behavior of our web page and how it interacts with the user. We will put an input type number, name X, select the operator that we will be using. First option, value plus and its content plus. The minus option times and division. As you can see, the page renders as we go in this brilliant tool. Input type number, name Y, and input type reset, value reset, and we will create the submit button differently from the input method button. Inside the button we will give it equals type submit, and we will give it a value too. We can do that. So for this example, we created our first form. It's not well neat visibly and presentationally. It's not that neat. It's not that that nice, but we can quite understand it. We have here y, an x, y operation. We can choose the operations. Reset. Let's try the reset 777. We cannot write letters in the input number, but we can write only numbers. The reset will resets every input to its default value. And when we click on equals, which is the submit, does not work because we did not implement the destined page for calculations, or we did not implement the JavaScript functions that will renders the result instead of instead of sending the data to a web server. We can write a more sophisticated example, and instead of using inputs, we will use buttons, and at the end we will have something like this. Let me show you. We will have something like this, a simple calculator with a neat design and good presentation and quite understandable. And when we reach the JavaScript part and we will learn JavaScript, we will be able to compute and calculate instructions using our awesome calculator. For example, I will try it right now. 54 plus 6, it should be 60, and it's 60. We will at the end of this session, we will be able to create something like this using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, of course. So let's create our first file. You can use any text editor you want. For my case, I will use Sublime Text. Save the file as example.html to make the browser understand which file we are using and which type of file we are using. Let's start off with doc type, as usual. HTML to say we are using HTML5. HTML tag and closing HTML tag. Let me zoom in. Head to define the title of the page, and to include to include external links. We will see that later. Title, my awesome calculator. Body, and to create this calculator, we will need several tags just before reaching the form or the button that we will use to interact with the user. For example, we will use main, which is a semantic tag to say that this section is our main section in the web page. We will add a container, and we will have 4 sections. First section, which is our the page title section. We will give it an ID header. Second section with the ID result, which and in this section we will display the results of our operations. third section, which will contain the numbers and the number and the operation buttons, OPs, and the final section, which will contain simply the equals button. In the first section, we will add a header, and we can use, for example, h1, my awesome calculator. In the second section we will have a div, and inside it a span to have to contain the result. For the moment, we will add zeros. In the operation section, we will add the first div, which is the first container, which will contain the numbers, the number buttons, id numbers, number container. And the second container, id operator container. In the first in the number container, we will add the buttons, button 0, value 0, and we will give it a class name to define its style, and for later on to use it to be manipulated using JavaScript, using the class names, numbers, one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we will add a last button which will display and which will add the comma to display float numbers. In the operator container, we will add 4 buttons, class name operator or operators, value class, and will display class. We have 4 operations: minus, multiplication, and division. And at the last section, we will add a button which will compute or calculate the operation that we will try to input using these buttons here. Class, we want to give it a class for now. Let's see how this goes. As you can see, we have the header section that we defined using h1, the result that we defined using span in the section id result, the various buttons that are used to define the numbers and the comma operations, and at the end the calculate operation. As you can see, it is not well presentational, and it's not very well visible. So we need something to make it more nice, neat, and nice to see. For that, we will go to the next session, the next section of our training, which is CSS. And CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet, and it is a style sheet language used to describe the presentation of HTML documents. CSS is used to control the layout, appearance, visual style of the web page, including colors, font spacing, and other visual elements. And in the example to the right, uh, I will explain it really fast. Here we selected the body tag. All body tags in the document, or in the document that includes this CSS, will have font family Arial sans serif, background color which is black, and this presentation is hexadecimal presentation of the color black. All headers, all H1s will have the color white, font size 36 pixels, and align center, a text align center, which will align the text to the center of the uh, of the of the box of the H1. All paragraphs will have the color red, font size 18 pixels, and line height 1.5. Line height, um, it just means the height of the line, and the height of the space, and it defines the space between each lines inside each line between in the paragraph. A, as we said, is defines the hyperlink tag, and all hyperlink tags will have the color RGB 255 255 which is another presentation of the colors. As you can see, we have hexadecimal presentation of color, string presentation of color, and RGB presentation of color. Hello Fusely, how you doing? Thank you for joining in. And the text decoration will be non-text decoration. For example, I will give a simple example. I won't go further. We can say, using the text decoration, we can present non-decorated text, underlined text, or bar text. And in the last definition, two dots hover means that when we hover using the mouse on the hyperlink text, what will happen? For our example, the text decoration will be underlined. So when we hover the link, it will be underlined. You can read more about CSS in this presentation or other documents online. Anyway, I will share with you guys this presentation at the end. To understand more the CSS and the presentation of components, we will understand first of all the box model of the components. And the box model is a core concept in CSS that describes how HTML elements are displayed on web page. According to the box model, every HTML element is treated as rectangular box with 4 sides, and each of the sides has padding, border, and margin. So in this example, we have an element with 800, 794, and height 160, padding of 50/20, border of 4 directions, and margins of 50/30. So at the end, if the element has the height of 160, its box model has the height of 160 plus 50 the padding, 5 the border, and 50 the margin. At the end, it will be uh, 2, 215, 215 pixels for as the outer height of the box model. And the box model, we need to understand the box model to understand its effect on its surroundings and on the surrounding elements of the web page. Another important thing to understand when it comes to CSS is the CSS selector. Selectors are used to target specific HTML elements and apply styles to them, and to these are examples of how we can select the HTML tags using CSS selectors. For example, element selectors, which targets all instances of specific tag. For example, we will apply to all H1s a specific style. ID selector, which this targets a specific HTML element using its ID. So for this purpose, we need to have only one ID per page, only one specific ID per page. We cannot have my element uh, two my element IDs on the same page, because every time we will try to select the second one, it will select the first one. So to specify uh, styles to an element using its ID, we use the hashtag the hashtag my element or hashtag ID to select this element and apply style to it. Class selector will target all the elements that has the same class and specify styles to it. And the syntax is dot class name descendant descendant selector. This means we will select the e class or a tag or an ID inside a parent element. In this example, we have for a div with the class parent element, and inside it we will have a div with the class child element. So if we have a child element in another section of the page, it won't be selected. This selector will only select child elements inside this parent element and applies a style to it. Adjacent sibling selectors, we use the plus operator to say select the second element or an element which comes right after the first element. Right after means I will go to the example. For example, if we say select the operator container which comes right after number container. It will select this operator container, but if we have another operator container in another location in the page, it won't select it because it does not come after number container. There are more and more CSS selectors available and functions that we can use to select specific more specific elements in the HTML page and apply style to it. But these are the most important ones. I hope that was clear, and if not, you can ask questions whenever you want, guys. We talked about applying styles and presentation to elements, but we do not know how. And CSS properties are the properties that will define the style or the presentation of each element of each selected element. We can separate properties by purpose. We can find color properties like such as color, background color, border color, etc. Layout properties, for example, display, position, float, width and height, margin and padding too. Typography properties, font family, font size, font weight, line height, text align, etc. These properties are used to control the appearance of the text. Flexbox properties, we will learn about this in an example later on. Display flex, we can use with display flex direction, justify content, align items, align content, and these properties are used to create flexible layouts and more responsive layouts to more devices. Grid properties, I want to go through grid properties today, maybe in the next sessions. Animations, we can define animations too using the properties animation, transition, and transform. Now that we've learned about the CSS properties and selectors, etc., we can go through our example here and make sure that what we've created will be presentational, will be neat, will be more clear to the user. So to apply style to apply style to our HTML, we need to import the style. There are three major ways to import the style. First of all, the inline style that we will want use. For example, here we will say color red, and we will go to the example and check. Our first button has the color red right now. And the second way is to use the style tag inside the style tag we can define styles. For example, we will say all numbers. All numbers means all elements that have the class numbers will have the color blue. And when we go to our example, we will have all the numbers with the color blue. And the last the most common way is to use an external CSS file. We can create CSS file and save it style.css. It has to be .css, and import it using the tag link in the header section. Rel style sheet href to specify its URL or link. We can import a CSS file which is deployed on the internet using X, Y, Z style.css or whatever. But in our case, the file is located in our local environment, so we will import it directly style.css. Let's see if our importation works. So let's say body will have the background black, and if we go to our page, the background of our entire body became black. So now we will make styles. We will make our components more visible. First of all, we will style the main. We will give it 100% height of 100%, which is 100 VH. It means 100 VH. It means 100% of our vertical height. We can say 50 VH. It means 50% of our screen. Display flex to make sure that our elements are centered inside the document, not at the beginning, not at the end, but in the center of the element. Flex direction column to say that that our layout is flexible in the direction column, like this. And justify content center. Now we can when we test, we can see that our elements are will be at the center of the page of the document, like this. We will remove the background color black for the moment. And like JavaScript, to write a comment, you need to put it inside slash uh, slash star star slash, like JavaScript. Now we will style the container of our calculator, which is div, and we will say main div. This selector will select the divs that are directly under main. If we have for example, this div here, it won't be selected. But if we say main div like this, it will select all the divs inside the main. But we only need to style the div that is directly inside the main. We will give it a background color. Let's say gray, with 300 pixels. Margin, let's add it later. Padding 30 pixels to have enough space to display our content without adjusting to the border of the div. Display flex, and flex direction color. Let's see how this renders. As you can see, it has the background gray, a 30 pixel padding, and 300 pixel width. The flex direction is not visible right away, but we will see it later. Now we will style the result to be seen as a calculator. So we gave it an ID result. So hashtag result border, to define the border of the element. 1px, which is the width of the border. Solid, the style of the border. We have other styles, but we are interested only with solid, and we will give it the color black. Padding of 20 pixels, and text the line right to display all the numbers starting from the right. Let's see how does it go. So we have text align right, 20 pixels of padding, and a border. You are wondering how we can change the font family or the font style of the numbers, or of the text, to be more like a calculator. So we will import a style to our we will import a font family to our CSS, which is a calculator font family, and we will apply to everything. Star means that selects everything. Font family calculator. Let's see how does it go. Nice. Now everything has the calculator font family and the calculator style, calculator style. We want to place our calculator in the center of the page here, for example. We will add a margin auto that will give automatic margins to this element, to the selected element, and place it at the center of its container. Next, we will style the result text, result span, to select the span inside the result section, this span, and we will give it font weight of 700, which means bold, not the boldest but bold, and font size of 34 pixels. Next, we will style our number container. We will give it display flex wrap, to say that we will wrap the lines whenever we reach the end of the number container. The elements will wrap to a next line wrap. When we select no wrap, that means all the children of number container will be adjacent and won't break to another line. And we will give it a flex 3, and I will explain this later. Now we will style the numbers, the number buttons. We will give them flex 1, 0, 26, and I will explain this later. Font weight of 600, font size of 26, which is a bit smaller than the font size of the result span. Let's see how does it go. So let me explain. We had number container with display flex. Display flex means that we will put the numbers, put the children alongside each other using the flex display and the flex direction row, which is by default. And when we reach 3 elements, well, we broke the line since we put, let me put this way, since we put flex wrap, which means it will break the line, and each element will have a flex attributes 1, 0, and 26. 26 is the most important thing in our example, not in general, but in our example 26. 26 will let us uh, uh, display only three elements in the same row. And now we will style the operators. Operator container. Is that what we use? Is this what we used? 26 is 26% of shrink, I guess. 26% of shrink from a replay. Of course, there is a replay. It will be displayed it will be published in the Twitch and YouTube channel. And from the next session, due to technical issues, from the next session we will have simultaneous broadcast in YouTube and Twitch for those who are interested in who would like to use YouTube instead of Twitch. But anyway, every session will be broadcast and saved and will be accessible on Twitch and YouTube right away. Where are we? Don't hesitate, guys, to ask any question. I will answer it right away. We said operator container. Operator container, which will select the container of those four operators. Operator container. Not the size of the box, the minimum size of the box. If we select the minimum size of the box, mean if we select, for example, 25, it will put 4 elements in the same row and then wrap to the next line. If we put 51%, it means that the minimum width of the element will have 51%, so it will display in the same line only one element, since it can display two. The 51 plus 51, it's 102, so it won't display two elements. The shrink this value will say the minimum width possible of the element, which is, for our example, we need to put 26%. 26%. In this case, 26% will only display 3 elements in the same row. If we input 10, this means it will display 10 elements in the same row, like this. It displays 10 elements in the same row. And if we put 9%, no, 7%. And if we put 7%, it will display 11 elements in the same row, and all the elements in the same row. Is this clear? Best we will do Redux, and we will get through some other Redux alternatives. And if we want to display 4 elements in the same row, we will put 21. 4 elements in the same row. Operator container. Operator container will be flex display. As usual, we can use block display or flex display, but I want to use flex more often to explain it more, to be more understandable. Flex direction column and flex 1. Now that we used flex 1 and flex 3 for two adjacent elements under the same flex display flex element. Let's see how it goes. Sorry, did I miss something? Yeah, I did not make ops as display flex. As you can see, now that we under ops section we have container number container and operator container. The flex the section ops is displayed as flex. The first element, number container, has the attribute, the property flex3. The second element has the property flex1, which means the number container will have 3 times the width of the flex1. If we say, for example, instead of flex1 of operator container, if we say 2, we will have the number container. Number container has 3 columns, but the operator container width is 2 columns of the all operation width. I hope it is clear. This is one of the reasons that makes the display flex really flexible. Now that we styled the numbers, we want to style the operators too. We will put the same styles as the numbers. Font weight 600, font size 26. I think you should highlight the borders so they could get a better understanding, I guess. Okay. I get your point, mates. I get your point. Number container, border 1px, solid blue, and for operator container red, and for the ops we will give it a green border. It's not quite visible. Is this what you mean, Emmy? Here we have the ops container and the border green, with the border green, and it has the display flex property, which will make us display adjacent side-by-side elements and the number container has the flex attribute 3, which will have three times the width of the flex attribute 1 of the ops container. I guess it's more clear this way. Thank you, bro. For the last part, we will style the equals button, calculate button, which is inside the calculate section. Calculate button. We will give it a width of 100%, 100% of its container. This means font weight of 600 like the other buttons, and font size of 26 pixels like the rest of the buttons. And this gives something like this. Let me comment these borders for the moment. We won't need them. The last thing that we need to do, first of all, I will align this text at the center. Where is it? We did not create a style for this. Header h1 text align center, and we will give it a text transform to uppercase, so that we will display it always in uppercase. There are two things missing. The order of the numbers are not the same in the calculator, so we will order them. The first element is 7, 8, 9 after it. Then we have 4, 5, 6. Then 1, 2, 3, and 0 here. Now they are ordered just like in the calculator. We want to go a bit further and give the 0 a wider width to go with to have 2/3 of the width. So we will go to the button and we will give it a new class, wider, and we will give it a specific style dot numbers dot wider. When we don't have space here, it means an element that has at the same time numbers class and at the same time wider class. Which delete button, bro? And we will apply the same the flex property to make sure that this button is wider than the others. We will give it flex 1 0, and for the shrink we will give it at least 59% to make it 2/3. Let's say 60%. We will see it later, bro. When we introduce JavaScript to the equation, we will implement the delete button. Now our calculator does not work, so it does not have any behavior. It has only visible elements, but no behavior, no elements, no events, nothing. And for this, we will come to the our last part of this session, which is JavaScript. JavaScript is a programming language that is primarily used to creating dynamic and interactive web page. It is client-side scripting language, which means that it runs on the user's browser rather than on the web server. But JavaScript, it evolves now. It evolves and it runs on server. We can use it to create uh, uh, web applications, uh, uh, video games, and server applications. So it's more just a server-side scripting language. It evolves really fast and really great. Often when we hear JavaScript, we hear ECMAScript or ES or ES6, ES5 or ES7. ECMAScript or ES is scripting language specification created by the European Computer Manufacturers Association, and it's a standard. It's a standard that defines the syntax, semantics, and behavior of JavaScript language. More languages are using this standard, the ECMAScript standard for the moment, but the JavaScript is one of the most used languages that implements and follows the ECMAScript rules, and we can specify other examples that follows the ECMAScript rules like ActionScript, GScript, and TypeScript that we will learn in the future too. ECMAScript is updated regularly to add new features and functionalities to the language, and one of the major updates and most important updates in the last few years is ECMAScript 6, or ECMAScript 25 is a major update to ECMAScript standard that was released in 2015. It introduced several new features and syntax improvements to the language, including, for example, the let and the const means constant, and let is scoped variable. It means that is not visible outside of its scope. Arrow function is new syntax for creating functions that makes the use of the arrow symbol. And the difference between the arrow function and the classic function implementation is that the JavaScript old implementation has a context in it, but arrow function does not has a context. So if we are inside a class and we want to implement a function, if we use the arrow function and use this variable, this dot, it will refers to the object. But if we use the classic function implementation, if we use this dot, it means this refers to the function context, not the class context. In ES6, they introduced the use of classes in JavaScript, providing more object-oriented approach. Template literals, which is new way to create strings that allows to interpolate variables and expressions and multi-lines strings too. So we can create strings using variables easily, not just creating the old way is to create a variable and calculate, compute the result string using operations like plus or or concate or other operations. Another thing that was introduced to ECMAScript 6 is spread and rest operations. These operators allows for more flexible manipulations of arrays and objects, distracting assignments, a new syntax for extracting values from arrays and objects without accessing directly those values inside the arrays and object. It's just a simpler syntax. And the promises. It's a new way to handle asynchronous operations in JavaScript, providing more robust, flexible approach than traditional callback-based approaches. And we will definitely have examples of promises when we reach the API side or React.js side. Aspects of JavaScript. So JavaScript has several major aspects that make it a powerful and versatile language for web development. First of all, client-side rendering. So JavaScript is primarily a client-side scripting language, meaning it runs on the user web browser than on the web server, and it allows JavaScript to be used for creating dynamic and interactive web pages that can respond to user input and events in real time. Oriented object programming, we want to go far with this. Asynchronous programming, JavaScript is designed to support asynchronous programming, allowing developers to perform time-consuming operations in the background without blocking the user interface. Single-threaded language. JavaScript is considered a single-threaded language, which means only one thread is running the whole program, meaning that it can only execute one piece of code at a time. This is because JavaScript runs in the same thread as the web page user interface. Any long running blocking operations can cause the user interface to become responsive. There are several solutions to get around this issue or this problem, such as web workers or promises. But we always need to remember that single JavaScript is single-threaded language. JavaScript is event-driven programming, meaning that it can respond to user events such as mouse clicks, keyboard inputs, etc. Manipulating the DOM, probably one of the most important aspects to know, because in the future when we learn React.js, and in the background React.js is manipulating the DOM constantly. So JavaScript, one of the most important aspect to JavaScript is manipulating the DOM. The DOM is the document object model, which represents the structure and the content of the HTML document. This allows the developers to dynamically modify content and layout of the page in response to user actions and the other events. Last and not least, third-party libraries and frameworks. There are many third parties and libraries and frameworks available for JavaScript that can simplify and accelerate the development process. And in our training, we are interested in React.js, and we want to learn React.js more than other libraries and frameworks. JavaScript syntax is really simple. Uh, First of all, comments are important to explain a scope or a bit of code or a file, or to remind yourself for to do something. As easy as that. We have two syntaxes of comments. First of all, is single line comment using double slash, and multi-line comments using the slash star syntax. Variables. We have three types of variables in JavaScript. Var, which is a global variable. Let, which is scoped variable inside of scope. It's only visible inside of scope. Uh, uh, to the contrary of variable, when you define a var, even if it's inside of scope, you cannot define it elsewhere. Const, it's just as simple as a constant in other as any other programming language. Functions. We have two types of functions: functions with return value and functions with no return value. And to create a function, we need to use the function keyword, and this signature of the function is function, name of function, and inside parentheses parameters, and between the curly brackets the instructions and the return value. Conditional statements are represented using the if else syntax. If condition statements, else if condition statements, and else. For the rest of the cases, we have other statements. Like other programming languages, loops are important, and well, we have several ways to define loops and iterate over arrays or collections. The common used ones are for statement and while statement. For the for syntax is really simple. It takes initial value, end value, incrementation. We can increment by 2 if we want. For this example, it only increments by 1. And inside the for statement, we have instructions. ECMAScript provides additional syntax to JavaScript. So JavaScript, as we said, it follows the ECMAScript standards, and the most important things to keep in mind when using ES6. First of all, arrow functions. Like I said, arrow functions are new syntax, new way to define functions. And it uses the arrow symbol. The regular function, like we said in the last page, function keyword, function name, etc. But now we can create function using the arrow syntax, the arrow function syntax, and store it inside a constant or a value or whatever. But usually we store it inside const. The syntax is parameters inside two parentheses, arrow, and instructions. The template literals Template editors are a new way to write strings that allows easy interpolation of variables and expressions. In this example, we have a constant name that contains John, and at the end, the template will have "Hello John," since it replaces the variable which with its content. The spread operation, the spread operator can be used to spread the elements of an array or an object into another object. In this example, we have const numbers that contains a list of 1, 2, 3, a new list which contains the spread of the first list, which contains 1, 2, 3, and 1, 4, 5, and 6. And at the end, the new numbers list will contain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which are the concatenation of all the elements since we spread the first list inside the second list. Distracting is a way to extract values from objects and arrays into variables. The first example, we have an object person, which contains two attributes, name and age, and we can distract person and get the name and age separately using the syntax of distraction, which is curly braces attributes that needs to exist inside the person equals person. When we console log or display or alert the name and age, it will display their corresponding values. For lists or arrays, we can distract two, but not using the curly braces syntax, but how does it call? This syntax, it will put first element inside A, second element inside B, third element inside C, and if we want to just extract the first and second element, we can just do const A and B equals numbers, and it will distract numbers and put the first element inside A, second element inside the const B. Okay. Like I said, DOM manipulation is one of the most important aspects of JavaScript. So we will get through in this page. We will get through the most the most commonly used uh, DOM manipulation functions of JavaScript. So JavaScript provides a number of functions that are for manipulating the document object model, which represents the structure of the content of an HTML document, like we said. And here's some examples. Get element by ID, it returns an element with a specified ID, and the syntax is element var element equals document dot get element by ID, and we specify the ID as a parameter. Get elements by class name, it will return a list or a collection of elements, not just one, with the specified class name. The syntax is var elements, which will contain the result collection, equals document dot get element by class name, elements by class name, and we specify the class. So in our earlier example, if we go here, if we do var numbers equals document get elements by class name numbers, it will give us a collection containing all the numbers, all the elements, all the buttons that has the class number. Get element by tag name, just like the class number, but now it will return a collection of elements by their tag name. For example, here document.get element by tag name div, it will return all the div elements. Create element will help us create a new HTML element. Append child, it will append a HTML element into a parent at the end of the child list. Remove child, it will remove a child from a parent. Set attribute, in this example, we want to set we set the attribute class of the element my element, which we got by document by get element by id my element. We have the element that we want to add the attribute to. Element one set dot set attribute class, new class. This will add a class attribute and give it the value new class. Get attribute, it will get the value of the attribute that we want to display. Element dot get attribute class, the value will contain the literal class value. Class list, it will return a list of classes of said element, HTML element. For example, here element equals document dot get element by id my element. Element dot class list is the class array. It contains the class array. We can say array, but it's a collection. Dot add, it will add a new class to the list. Remove, it will remove a specific class to the list. And toggle, it will add or remove a class if it exists or not. Now to the practice. We will put into practice everything that we've seen in this section, JavaScript section, to our calculator. So to add a script to our page, we go to the end of the body, script, src, and we will give it the name of the file that we are using to define our script, script.js. And we will create a new file, save it, script.js, and to have better understanding for how it will work. So we have a first element, first value of the operation, second value of the operation, and an operator that will be selected using this interface, and to calculate the result at the end. First, we'll create a var operation, and we will give it nothing. Var x, which is the first element of the operation. Var y, the second operation element. We can do this is a first syntax, but we can do var operation equals empty, x equals empty, and y, if we want, we can specify nothing as its value. And and it's another syntax for declaring multiple values. We'll keep it simple for the moment, and we will have an end result. Var result equals nothing. Empty string. It's not nothing, but it's empty string. We can have as a nothing. We can have empty string or null, or we can specify nothing, which will have an undefined value. But we will specify an empty string as a value to keep it simple for the moment. Now we will add event listeners to the buttons to interact with the user. First of all, we will get all the numbers, and how we can select them is using the get elements by class name, which we provided. All the number buttons have the class numbers. So document one dot get elements by class name, and we will give it the class numbers. Now, if you want to add event listeners to all the numbers, we will add array dot prototype dot call, I guess. Call. It will call function for each element of numbers. We will give it numbers as the first parameter, and the function that we will need to call for each element. Number, the elemental element. Number dot add event listener. The event that we want to listen is click, and it gets a function which will be an arrow function like this. If operation is empty, which means we are still typing the first number, we will do x equals x plus number dot value, which is the value of the button. This attribute, it will give us this attribute. Else y equals dot number dot value, which means if we do not have operator selected, we are still typing the x, the first number. Else, which means we selected an operator, we are typing the second value. We are missing something here, but we will write it at the end. Now, if we want to select the operation, operators dot document dot get elements by class name. What did we call the class? Operators. We'll do the same thing. Array dot prototype dot call to call a function for each operator. it will take operators as the first parameter and the function as the second parameter, and we will specify operator dot add event listener click second function operation, which is this value here, operation equals. I know it's a headache, but we won't be using this when we reach JavaScript, when we reach ReactJS and Redux. It's another headache, but it's more fun, I assure you. Operator dot value. We have another missing attribute here, instruction here, but we will add it later on. Now that we've added the event listeners to all the buttons, we need to add an event listener to the equals button. So document dot get element, let's see, the equals, let's give it an ID, calc, get element by ID, calc dot add event listener, get element by ID. It returns one single element, so we can add directly the event listener. Click function, and for this we have when we click on equals, we have first element, second element, an operator as strings and waiting to be used. So const a new x, which will contain parse float x. Parse float is the function that JavaScript function that converts a string into float. There is also parse int, which converts a string into an integer value. Const y parse float y, and we will do a switch statement on operation case if operation is plus result, we get x plus y, break, and we will do the same thing for the other operations. Minus, multiply, divide, and for the default we will get an error. So now we have the result of our operation, but it's not displayed in the result section, which is here. So to display it, we need to get document get element by ID result dot get elements by tag name. We need to select the span here, span elements by tag name. It will return a collection, so we will want to access the first element since it's only one element. And dot inner HTML, we will access the content of the span and we will give it our result. At the end, we want to reset everything to the initial state. Now let's try our calculator. Let's say 7 plus 3, but nothing changes. Why? Maybe because we are missing something somewhere. Let's see the console. No error. Anyways, we are even if the result is not displayed, we need to, when we click, we need to update our calculator and see how it responds to us. We will create a function, update result section, no parameters, and it will contain document dot get element by ID. Slowly, why? Is it a headache or why? Because it does not work. Welcome back, bro. We will update the result section. To update it, we need to get elements by tag name, span as the same way, 0 since it's a collection, inner HTML, we get x plus, we will use the templating, x plus operation and y. Now when we click, it should update, but it does not. I don't know why. Let's do a console log here. I forgot to update, to call the update function, sorry. We'll update the function whenever we click on a button. Which error, bro? I guess because we do not get the span of the result properly, I guess. Let's see. Weird. Help me out here, guys. I think I found out why it does not work. I forgot the type, and hopefully this is the problem. It is not. Array.prototype is not a function. How do we write prototype, guys? I'm not mistaken. Guys, help me out here. Okay, tech guy, help me out. Oh. Sorry guys, sorry.
شنو المشكلة وجهك التقاي؟
Sorry. It's inside filter.co. يعني لقيتها يا برو.
ضيعت شوية لو أنا بقول انتبه معاك مخي تحرق.
7 plus 3 equals 10. Nice. It works. 100 plus, no, we have an error. We have an error. Operation needs to be reset, not operator. It's inside filter. 100 divided 1000 divided by 3, 333.3333. Nice. Now that we've learned JavaScript and we used it in an example, the next part will be in the next session we will learn TypeScript briefly. We will set up our environment, development environment properly, and we will start learning GS and its aspects, and probably we'll have an example next time too. So if you have questions, guys, it's your time. Manef.
وي
Thank you, Amin. Thank you, bro.
وي نسيت قالوا سيدي سيدي.
سيدي ما عندكش أسئلة برو. Thank you, Amin. Thank you, bro.
ولا تعفر على الاخر، خاصة كي خدمت على جي اس.
عندكش أسئلة برو.
لا ولا لا صافا، جوست في الاخر انا ساي جوعت ومخي تشوش.
The timing can be changed, yeah, Steve. It can be changed, bro.
next episode ولا next session كمل فيها الكالكولاتريز.
لا لا لا. Calculatrice, c'est mort. Last session today. Just simple example, bro. لا لا لا. Calculatrice, c'est mort. Last session today. Just.
اوكي.
فماش أسئلة، كل شيء واضح أفهوم.
يدي جموع طاير على هنا.
ما زلنا ما وصلناش للمخ الهدر يا صاحبي. ما زلنا ما وصلناش للمخ الهدر يا صاحبي.
حكيت على الاس سي اس اس انت؟
ما زلت مش تو. SCSS will take place after learning the ReactJS, probably after learning UI libraries or before. Because to mention SCSS, I need to mention other libraries that are essential for SCSS to be built. Which script? This script?
الكود تاع HTML CSS و JS باش تربطهم في الجيت ولا بلاصة ولا جست
شنو
الفيديو؟
الكود متاع الاكزامبل هذا؟
كود تاع كالكولاتريس.
كان موجود في الفيديو برو. حكاية فارغة، هو ديجا هو موجود. But at the end when we will do um, collective projects. We will use Git, and I will invite everyone who is interested to 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 join the project and create a collective project with everyone. Digital daggers. I didn't want to dig a lot in JavaScript and how does it work. It's a subject for reading for everyone. For me, it's more interesting to know how we can use it, but how does it work? It's actually interesting and a subject for reading, not for a fast-paced training. مش مشكلة حمزوش، مش مشكلة. So no question, guys. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. The next session, next English session will be Thursday at 10, I guess. Let me see. Thursday at 10:30. علاش تاني ايامي ما نافي برو؟ 10:30 متاع الليل، السيونس الجاية 10:30 متاع الليل. انا زاد الساعة اللي نزادت شكعبتني جملة يا عزدين. هادي 10:30 PM مش ايام، ما تغلطناش يا مريم. نهار الخميس 10:30 بوقت فرنسا، بوقت تونس 9:30. نهار الخميس يا برو، بالفرنسي نهار الثلاث بالفرنسي يا حمزة، الخميس باللونجلي. اي انت نهار الثلاث حمزة. يا فرق Okay, guys, thank you for watching. Until the next time, Tuesday for French sessions, Thursday for the second session of English lessons, and see you next time, guys. وشهية طيبة.